Okay guys, so today we're going to be talking about another returning Pokemon in the Crown Tundra DLC, and this is going to be the Blaziken. Blaziken is a fan favorite. He's a very cool Pokemon, great character design, and he's got a good shiny too. I like how it gets a little darker. Now, as far as stat-wise, his big stats are going to be his attack stat and his special attack stat. So his attack stat is going to be 120 and his special attack is 110. So you can actually build him in more than one way for both typings when it comes to special and physical. Now his other stats are going to be defense at 70 and special defense at 70. So he's not crazy bulky. You definitely don't want him out there taking a lot of hits, especially with his HP at 80. Now these aren't terribly low, but they're not high either. So you don't want him to be the main focus for being hit. You definitely want to protect him and allow him to do damage. His speed is going to be 80, however that is going to be supplemented by one of his abilities that we are going to be using throughout this video. Now as far as his typing, he is again the fire fighting type Pokemon, so that fire is great to have on your team, especially with some of the ice types that are now running around. And the fighting typing also is going to do damage to also ice, but also you've got your steel damage and so on and so forth. So he's got good typing, however he is going to have a few weaknesses which we'll go over in a moment. Now when it comes to abilities, Blaziken has two abilities. He's got Speed Boost, which is his hidden ability, and Blaze. And now we're going to be primarily working with Speed Boost here. In fact, through the whole video, that's what we're going to be using. However, Blaze does have some possibility, especially if you don't have the hidden ability. So Speed Boost is really cool because at the end of every turn, it's going to raise his speed by one stage, which is amazing. So the longer he's on the field, the faster he's going to be, the more priorities he's going to have, and he's going to be able to kill things that much quicker. Blaze is going to increase the damage of any fire type move used by the Pokemon once his HP is less than half. So he either half or less, and he's going to do 50% more damage with his fire attacks specifically. Not a fighting attack, not any other coverage, only fire. So if you don't have Speed Boost, you can have Blaze. It's not terrible, but Speed Boost is definitely the ability that we're really going to focus on here, and it is definitely the more meta one in general. So one last thing to cover when it comes to abilities, Blaziken does have a Mega version of himself. Now, Megas aren't currently in the game, but if they do come to the game, Megas all have a Mega ability. However, you won't have to worry about learning some new ability for him if you're not familiar with it already. It's already the same thing. It's Speed Boost. So in this case, you don't have any other change. If you're using Speed Boost, you'll be using Speed Boost in his Mega form, and you're already good to go. Alright guys, so resistances, Blaziken does really well here. This is really an area where he shines at. You can see he's got resistances to Bug, Steel, Fire, Grass, Ice, and Dark. Bug being cut to 1/4 of its damage, the others being cut by half. Some of these are pretty predominant, especially with like Metagross in the game. He's resistant to Steel, Fire typings, Ice typings with Tundra dropping, and so on. So he's got a lot of really good resistances here that really help him shine a lot. So definitely consider him to counter some of these other Pokemon, again, like Metagross, that are now becoming part of the meta. Alright guys, let's go ahead and talk about weaknesses now. So he is going to be weak to 4 different typings here, and it is going to be Flying, Water, Ground, and Psychic. So none of these are going to be a 4x weaknesses, it's all 2x, so that's not terrible, and he does have more resistances than he does weaknesses. However, there are some big hits in here, so you want to make sure you're aware of the Flying, the Water, and the Ground, and even the Psychic. None of these are really rare typings in competitive, so just keep these in mind when you're building him and when you're playing against people and what's on their team and so on. But he does have the 6 resistances to kind of counter these weaknesses. If you're finding this video helpful at all or you're liking it, please drop a like and subscribe. Also guys, feel free to come over and visit us at the Twitch channel anytime you'd like. We do a lot of battles, raids, and trades every day, mostly Pokemon content as well as on Pokemon Go. You'll find the links down below in the description. Other than that guys, let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of this video. Okay guys, so let's go ahead and get into some of these builds. So the first build here is going to be pretty standard, so I don't want to spend too much time on it, but it is going to be 252 into attack, 252 into speed, and HP 4. So this is probably the most common EV build that you're going to see with Blaziken here. And if we go down to his ability item in nature, we are going to go ahead and go with that speed boost ability. And then you can either do Jolly or Adamant for nature. I do like the Adamant here because after one turn, you're going to be pretty fast anyways. So I do like having Adamant as the extra damage booster here versus Jolly. It's not wrong to go with Jolly, but I kind of like doing the Adamant here. And as far as item, you can go Life Orb or Focus Sash. Neither one is wrong again here. Focus Sash is probably a little bit more meta for him, but Life Orb is also going to increase your damage out. However, if you look over at the moveset, we do have Swords Dance up there. So if you do get a +2 off with Swords Dance, you're already sitting really, really good with attacks. So you don't necessarily need the Life Orb, but it's definitely going to give you some crushing blows. So definitely consider either or. Now, when it comes to the moveset, we are going to use Close Combat, Flare Blitz, U-Turn, and Swords Dance. Swords Dance, again, going to give you that +2 to your attack, +2 to your attack. U-Turn is going to allow you to get out if things are looking a little dangerous for you, and it's going to give you some chip damage out as well. Flare Blitz is going to be a stab move for you. Awesome, does tons of damage. Now, it does give you a little bit of recoil, so if you're not fond of the recoil, feel free to substitute that out for something like a Blaze Kick. Just notice it is a big drop in damage. Blaze Kick only has a power of 85, whereas the Flare Blitz has a power of 120, so it is a big difference in the damage. Now, Close Combat is going to be our fighting stab move here, and does a ton of damage as well. Just keep in mind this is also going to lower both your defense and your special defense by 1 stage. So you've got some pros and cons in your moves that you can choose for him, but he does a ton of damage, especially if you get that +2 Swords Dance off. So he's got a lot of offensive capability here. Okay guys, so this next set here is going to be a special attack build, and this is pretty cool because his special attack is 110, so it's still really good. It's only 10 less than his physical attack, and he has some cool coverage that he gets for his moves. So let's go ahead and look at it. 252 into special attack, 252 into speed, and 4 into HP. So it's basically a mirror copy of the physical set, but with special attack instead. Now, if we move over to the move set, we've got Aura Sphere, Flamethrower, Scorching Sands, and Solar Beam or Work Up. So there's a reason that I put either or. Now, Aura Sphere is great, 100% accuracy. It's going to give you your stat bonus, great. Flamethrower, same thing, 90 damage, awesome. Scorching Sands is really nice because not only does it have an okay attack power at 70, but it also has the ability to burn things, and it's going to give you a ground type coverage, which is going to be really cool against some of the weaknesses that Blaziken has. Now, Solar Beam or Work Up, this really depends on what you're going to do with your team composition and how you're going to work it. Me personally, if I pair him with a Rillaboom and get Grassy Terrain out, it's really going to boost the power of Solar Beam and or his max version of the move, and it's going to do a lot more damage. So if you do pair him with something that sets the terrain for you there, then that's a really cool idea. Plus, it's going to give him a little healing on the back end. Now, you could also do Work Up to boost his special attack up as well. So kind of like Swords Dance, but instead of getting the +2, you're only getting a +1. The nice thing about this set here is people are going to bring out Incineroars or Landorus's with Intimidate to drop your attack, but it's not going to do anything to you because you are a special attack-oriented Blaziken. So it's a little different, a little offsetting for people, and it could screw up their strategy a little bit. Okay, now moving over to ability item in nature. Speed boost again, not even going to go into any more detail on it. Timid and Modest, again, you could do whatever you want here, like the first set, but Modest is kind of where I lean again. Get a little bit more damage out on your special attack. You're already going to be super fast after turn 1. And then for items, again, with the Life Orb and the Focus Sash, whatever you want to do here is good. However, depending on the Solar Beam / Work Up or what other moves you may have in there may determine what you do here. If you have Work Up and you're getting a plus to your special attack, maybe you don't need the Life Orb, or maybe you're going for a really, really big hit and you do want the Life Orb. There's a lot of different ways you can kind of play this and strategize with your teammates. Okay, so this next build here is going to definitely be something a little different. We are going to utilize the base attack at 120 and put 252 EVs into attack. However, we're going to take another 252 and put it into either defense or special defense. Now, I lean towards defense on this, and I will tell you why once we go over to the moves. As far as the other remaining 4 EVs, you can toss it into HP or the other defense stat, whichever you want to do. Now, moving over to the moveset, we are going to use Close Combat and Flare Blitz for our offensive stab bonuses here. Now, again, with Flare Blitz, you could use Blaze Kick instead, so you're not getting that recoil damage, but these are the two that I'm kind of going with. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky. So you could use Protect, Substitute, Swords Dance, or Bulk Up for your last 2 attacks. Now, if you are going to add the EVs into defense, my recommendation would be to add Bulk Up here, or pair him with a coaching Pokemon. So somebody that knows coaching, like Cobalion. Now, this is going to boost your attack up 1 and your defense up 1. And the purpose for doing this would be to make him a little bit more of a defensive wall, so that you could actually use him to eat some damage and not be so scared of his frailty. And the reason I go more towards defense here is because he does have the bulk up ability, and coaching would also give him a physical defense boost. And because his base defense is only 70, I think you could only focus on really one stat here. You could do an assault vest plus the 252 into either special defense or defense. I just don't see it as worthwhile, and if you're going to build him something tricky like this, I think you should just double down on kind of one of those stats in this case, due to his kind of low bulk already. Okay, so what I'm looking at here is going to be the Bulk Up, Substitute, Flare Blitz / Blaze Kick, and Close Combat. That's really kind of what I'm looking, especially if you're fighting a team that's really, really heavy on physical offense and lacking some special defense or special attackers, then this would be a good way to kind of mitigate the damage coming into him anyways. So it would be nice if you could get that Substitute up, and you've got Bulk Up going, they're having trouble breaking it, you've got maybe Leftovers on as an item, and you're gaining HP back, causing damage, but at the same time you have a partner Pokemon out that's a big threat, and they have to kind of focus towards that threat a little bit more, and you're able to just do a ton of damage on the sideline. Now, with item ability and nature speed boost, Impish or Careful is the nature we're looking at here. This is going to boost your defense or your special defense. Again, I'm leaning more towards the physical with Impish, Life Orb, Focus Sash, or Leftovers. I think Leftovers is a good possibility here because this is going to give you a little bit more HP back every turn, especially if you pair him with something like a Rillaboom and you use a Substitute out because of the grassy terrain that's now you're getting double the HP back with Leftovers and the health coming from the grassy terrain. So you're getting really a lot of HP back every turn, and if they've got nothing but physical on the field, especially if it's ones that don't really pose damage to you, pose a threat to you, then you're gaining a lot of HP back. Okay, guys, that's going to be it for Blaziken. This went a little longer than I really had anticipated. So if you have any questions, please put them down in the comments. Love to answer them and get back to you. No problem whatsoever. Also, feel free to stop into the Twitch so we can do some battles or whatever you'd like to do. But guys, thank you so much for hanging out. I really appreciate it, and I do hope I see you next time. But until then, take care.